Happy Monday, everybody. Monday morning quarterback 177. Previous 176 of these are all cataloged nicely on our YouTube channel. Go to YouTube, search CSI Shocks. Please subscribe while you're there. We're currently trying to push over 3,000 subscribers. And we're going to do this show on Mondays at 9 p.m. We've got the next 6 or 7 cataloged out. Starting to get some people to ask if we'll do it every Monday all season. We'll see. If you guys view this enough and it gets shared enough and there's enough people wanting it, we will definitely consider doing it every Monday through the season. The last couple years we've just done it as a winter segment. We did do it every Monday for 2 years straight. But anyhow, let us know in the comments if you want to see this every Monday or just the off season works well for you. Tonight's topic is shock adjuster cables, how to properly mount those, if you need to modify the length, the best way to do that, routing of the cables, all that good stuff. We filmed that at our race shop at home, and so we'll cut to that video, and then when we come back, we will recap it. Hope you enjoy the video. We get questions all the time, how to route shock adjuster cables, or calls that my shock isn't adjusting nicely, and so we thought we'd do a quick little video on how we would go about doing a shock adjuster, mounting it in the car, some thoughts on where to mount it, and how we would go about routing the cable. The shorter the cable, the better, right? We'll get guys that'll call and say, hey, I need a 9-foot cable. Well, you get a cable that long, it'll tend to wind up and not be like one click in the car, one click at the shock. So when we're deciding where to put the mount, that goes into it. As far as we want to try to route it, where we can use the shortest cable possible, that's going to be the most positive adjustment. Anything less than a 6-foot cable adjusts pretty darn good. Start getting above 6 foot and it gets a little trickier to make it work properly. So the first thing we have to do is figure out where exactly we're going to put the adjuster. A couple things should go into your thoughts when you're planning this out. One, easy for the driver to get to without interfering with them turning the wheel, or in the uneventful incident of a crash that they're not banging body parts against it. So that would be number one. Driver comfort and safety. Number two, how do we position it to where we can do the shortest shock cable as possible? And then number three, where can we put it where we don't have to trim a bunch of panels, right? Putting the cable somewhere and then having to trim all kinds of panels and maybe later having to move it, and then you got your panels messed up. We don't like to do that. So if you don't already have mounts in the car, we sell clamps that fit our cables and adjusters, and so that's what I have in this car, because this was an A-class car. We're going to run outlaw with it, and so we want to put some shock adjusters on it. So those clamps work really, really well, and that's what we're going to use, and then we'll show you how to route the cable. So as we were looking at things, we decided that moving it down was going to be a little easier, because the cable was going to run into the firewall piece. But what happened when we did that is we'd measured our cable to be in a different location, our knob, and now we have all this extra cable. So how do we get rid of the cable? We don't just want to push it down. You know, we could wrap it around and make it work, but as I said earlier, the shorter the cable, the more efficient. So all you need is a cutoff wheel on a Dremel. That's the best way to shorten a cable, and we'll show you how to do that, and we'll get this routed where it's nice and clean and tidy. All right, so again, if you have to shorten your cable, pretty simple. Just a little cutoff wheel on a Dremel, or a big death wheel if that's all you got. These are easy to use. And then after we cut it, I like to take it to a sander and sand the edge so the end goes back on. But the reason we're cutting it with this versus cable cutters or something is as it cuts it, it will kind of weld all of the individual strands of wire together and keep the cable from unraveling. You will cut your housing. You can just cut that with a pair of scissors or side cuts. I try to leave about 1 inch of cable exposed, and then I'll split that difference when I put the heat shrink on. And again, the heat shrinks just to keep gunk, big chunks of dirt, water from getting down in there. Now your cable's the right length and ready to go on the car. So we have our cable cut to length where it's the perfect length, not too tight a bend. Everything has a nice radius. And we tie wrapped that cable as much as we could. So every 4 or 5 inches, if you can include a tie wrap, get it good and tight, that will help make it to where when you do one click in the car or 1/2 a turn in the car, the shock adjusts the same amount. We use a very high quality, very strong shock adjuster cable, and different than what most people in our industry use, and it works really, really well. Has a pretty good bend radius, and as long as you route it cleanly and tie wrap it every 4 or 5 inches, your shock will adjust fantastic. All right, so as you can see, not super complicated. You just need to put forth some thought on where exactly you want the adjusters in the car. I know some series just started allowing shock adjusters. USAC's actually reduced the amount you can have in the car, but several series and divisions of racing across our platforms are allowed cockpit adjusters, and if you're allowed to have them, you certainly should have them in the car. Should be educated on how to adjust them. And if you just follow the simple steps that we just outlined for you as far as routing them as short as possible, tying them up as frequently as possible throughout the run, they will work really well for you and be very positive detent. Don't forget, if you have a question pertaining to tonight's topic or any topic, comment either on our Facebook video or YouTube video. I go back and look at those. We typically start the show with questions from the previous week. We didn't have any from last week, so we didn't answer any of those. But we're always happy to help. And again, comment and let us know. Do you want to see Monday Morning Quarterback every single Monday night or just during the off season? Hope you have a great week. See you next Monday.